Hey guys, I want to start with a couple of announcements before I start reading. Obviously, if you are watching this, you are already in the new Google Classroom, but please help me spread the word just so everyone is in by tonight because I will be deactivating the other one. The other thing is my new email address. This is already on RenWeb, so you don't have to click or type anything in if you use RenWeb, but please just make sure that you're using this one because I will not be checking the other one. All right, so today is the 20th and you're watching the video. I'm going to read chapter 4. Now you have to have chapters 4 and 5 read by Friday. And this is really important because you have to read this in order to complete the major grade analysis activity that will be due the 29th. You have to read chapters 4 and 5 by Friday to help you with the analysis activity that is due on Wednesday. Okay? Now, today's Monday, and usually you have a homework assignment due on Wednesday. This time I'm not going to give you homework. Instead, I really would like you to complete a survey for my online master's degree. Please do this by Wednesday and it will give you a +2 on a quiz. So I sent that link in the email that I sent today. I posted it on Google Classroom. So once you do this, I can see your name and your results and what you typed, and I can give you the +2. But please do this by Wednesday. Before you even do this, your parents have to sign something. I sent them an email as well, so just talk with them, have them check their email and complete it. This survey is only 15 questions, so it really shouldn't take a lot of time. So please have this done. Okay, chapter 4. We are at the point in the book where Rosaline and Lily are running away, and she decided on Tiburon, South Carolina because she saw the Black Madonna picture, and on the back of it, it had Tiburon, South Carolina. And she knows that it belonged to her mother, and that's about it. So once she gets there, she goes to this gas station, and in the gas station, she sees a honey jar with that same Black Mary picture on the honey jar. So she asks the man, she says, where did you get this honey? Who was selling it? And he's like, oh, well, that's by a lady named August Boatwright. And she has the big pink house. You can't even miss it. So she asks where she lives, and Lily and Rosaline are now staring at the pink house, and she's about to go talk with the Boatwright sisters. The reason why I say pay close attention to the character development, it's because we have new characters introduced and it's a big part of your analysis activity that will be the major grade. So make sure you're paying attention, and I'm going to take some notes with you as we read. Okay, chapter 4, page 67. The woman moved along a row of white boxes that bordered the woods beside the pink house. A house so pink it remained a scorched shock on the back of my eyelids after I looked away. She was tall, dressed in white, wearing a pith helmet with veils that floated across her face, settled around her shoulders, and trailed down her back. She looked like an African bride. So that is just a beekeeper's helmet. That's what she's describing there. But this is August. Lifting the tops of the boxes, she peered inside, swinging a tin bucket of smoke back and forth. Clouds of bees rose up and flew wreaths around her head. Twice she disappeared in the fog billows, then gradually re-emerged like a dream rising up from the bottom of the night. We stood across the road, Rosaline and I, temporarily mute. Me out of awe for the mystery playing out, and Rosaline because her lips were sealed with red rose snuff. She's the woman who makes the Black Madonna honey, I said. I was unable to take my eyes off of her. The mistress of bees, the portal into my mother's life. August. Rosaline, wilting, spit a stream of black juice, then wiped away the mustache of perspiration above her lip. I hope she makes honey better than she picks out paint. I like it, I announced. We waited till she went inside, then crossed the highway and opened the gate in the picket fence that was about to topple over from the weight of Carolina jasmine. Add that to all the chive, dillweed, and lemon balm growing around the porch, and the smell could knock you over. So we have a lot of nature, a lot of flowers on page 68, all around the house. We stood on the porch in the pink light shining off the house. June bugs flickered all around and music notes floated from inside, sounding like a violin, only a lot sadder. My heart kicked in. I asked Rosaline if she could hear it beating, it was that loud. I don't hear nothing but the good Lord asking me what I'm doing here. She spit what I hoped was the last of her snuff. I knocked on the door while she muttered a slew of words underneath her breath. Give me strength, baby Jesus. Lost our feeble minds. The music stopped. In the corner of my eye I caught a slit movement at the window. A blind slid open, then closed. When the door opened, it was not the woman in the white, but another one, wearing red, her hair cut so short it resembled a little gray, curlicue swim cap pulled tight over her scalp. Her face stared at us, suspicious and stern. I noticed she carried a musical bow tucked under her arm, like a riding whip. It crossed my mind that she might use it on us. So we have another character coming in. We don't know her name yet, but she is wearing red. She's stern and suspicious. Yes. Are you August Boatwright? No, I'm June Boatwright, she said, her eyes sweeping over the stitches on Rosaline's forehead. August August Boatwright's my sister. You come to see her? I nodded, and simultaneously another woman appeared, with bare feet. She wore a green and white sleeveless dress and short braids that stuck straight out over her head. I'm May Boatwright, she said. I'm August's sister, too. She smiled at us, one of those odd grins that you knew she was not an altogether normal person. So we will talk and see that May does have some type of disability. May, green dress, braids, not all together. I wish June would whip with her whip would grin too, but she only looked annoyed. Is August expecting you? She said, directing her words to Rosaline. Of course Rosaline jumped in ready to spill the whole story. No, see, Lily has this picture. I broke in. I saw a honey jar back at the store, and the man said, "Oh, you've come for honey? Well, why didn't you say so? Come on in the front parlor. I'll get August." I shot a look at Rosaline that said, "Are you crazy? Don't tell them about the picture." We were going to have to get our story straight, that was for sure. Some people have a sixth sense, and some are duds at it. I believe I must have it because the moment I stepped into the house, I felt a trembling along my skin, a traveling current that moved up my spine, down my arms, pulsing out of my fingertips. I was practically radiating. The body knows things a long time before the mind catches up to them. I was wondering what my body knew that I didn't. I smelled furniture wax everywhere. Somebody had gone over the entire parlor with it, a big room with fringed throw rugs, an old piano with a lace runner, and cane-bottom rockers draped with afghans. Each chair had its own little velvet stool sitting before it. Velvet. I went over and rubbed my hands across one of them. Next, I walked over to a drop-leaf table and sniffed a beeswax candle that smelled precisely like the furniture wax. It sat in a star-shaped holder next to a jigsaw puzzle in progress, though I couldn't tell what picture it would make. A wide-mouthed milk bottle filled with gladius was perched on another table under the window. The curtains were organy, not your average white organy, but silver gray, so that the air came through with a slightly smoky shimmer. Imagine walls with nothing on them but mirrors. I counted 5 of them, each one with a big brass frame around it. Then I turned around and looked back toward the door where I'd come in. Over in the corner was a carving of a woman nearly 3 feet tall. She was one of those figures that had leaned out from the front of the ship in the olden times, so old she could have been on the Santa Maria with Columbus for all I knew. She was black as could be, twisted like driftwood from being out of the weather, her face a map of all the storms and journeys she's been through. Her right arm was raised, as if she was pointing the way, except her fingers were closed in a fist. It gave her a serious look, like she could straighten you out if necessary. Even though she wasn't dressed up like Mary and didn't resemble the picture on the honey jar, I knew that's who she was. She had a faded red heart painting on her breast and a yellow crescent moon, worn down and crooked, painted where her body would have blended into the ship's wood. A candle inside a tall red glass threw glints and glimmers across her body. She was a mix of mighty and humble all in one. I didn't know what to think, but what I felt was magnetic and so big it ached like the moon had entered my chest and filled it up. All right, wow, lots of good stuff with the Black Madonna, page 70. We have a 3-foot figure, a red faded heart. What else? A fist in the air. And then I like this quote where she said that she could, a mix of mighty and humble. The only thing I could compare it to was the feeling I got one time when I walked back from the peach stand and saw the sun spreading across the late afternoon, setting the top of the orchid on fire while darkness collected underneath. Silence had hovered over my head, beauty multiplying in the air, the trees so transparent I felt I could see through to something pure inside them. My chest had ached then, too, this very same way. The lips on the statue had a beautiful, bossy half-smile, the sight of which caused me to move both my hands up to my throat. Everything about that smile said, "Lily Owens, I know you down to the core." I felt she knew what a lying, murdering, hating person I really was. How I hated T-Ray and the girls at school, but mostly myself for taking away my mother. I wanted to cry, but then in the next instant I wanted to laugh, because the statue also made me feel like Lily, the smile upon. Like there were goodness and beauty in me too. Like I really had all the fine potential Mrs. Henry said I did. Standing there, I loved myself and I hated myself. That's what the Black Mary did to me. Made me feel my glory and my shame all at the same time. That's a really cool line too. I stepped closer to her and caught the faint scent of honey coming from the wood. May walked over and stood beside me, and I could smell nothing then but the pomade on her hair, onions on her hands, vanilla on her breath. Her palms were pink like the bottoms of her feet, her elbows darker than the rest of her, and for some reason the sight of them filled me with tenderness. August Boatwright entered, wearing a pair of rimless glasses and a lime green chiffon scarf tied to her belt. Who we got here?" she said, and the sound of her voice snapped me back to my ordinary senses. She was almond buttery with sweat and sun, her face coordinated with 1,000 caramel wrinkles, and her hair looking flower-dusted, but the rest of her seemed decades younger. So we have a description of August, about what she looks like. "I'm Lily, and that's Rosaline," I said, hesitating as June appeared in the doorway behind her. I opened my mouth without any sense of what I would say next. What came out couldn't have surprised me more. "We ran away from home and don't have any place to go," I told her. Any other day of my life I could have won a fibbing contest, hands down, and that is what I came up with, the pathetic truth. I watched their faces, especially August's. She took off her glasses and rubbed the depressions on each side of her nose. It was so quiet I could hear a clock ticking in another room. August replaced her glasses, walked to Rosaline, and examined the stitches on her forehead, the cut under her eye, the bruises along her temple and arms. "You look like you've been beaten." "She fell down the front steps when we were leaving," I offered, returning to my natural fibbing habits. August and June traded looks while Rosaline narrowed her eyes, letting me know I'd done it again, speaking for her like she wasn't even there. "Well, you can stay here till you figure out what to do. We can't have you living on the side of the road," said August. The intake of June's breath nearly sucked the air from the room. "But August, they'll stay here," she repeated in a way that let me know who the big sister was and who the little sister was. "It'll be all right. We've got the cots in the honey house." June flounced out, her red skirt flashing around the door. "Thank you," I said to August. "You're welcome. Now sit down. I've got some orangeade." We got situated in the can-bottom rockers while May stood guard, grinning her crazy woman grin. She had great big muscles in her arms, I noticed. "How come y'all have names from a calendar?" Rosaline asked her. "Our mother loved spring and summer," May said. "We had an April too, but she died when she was little." May's grin dissolved, and out of nowhere she started humming "Oh, Susanna" like her life depended on it. And I'm going to stop there. Make sure that you are taking note of all the characters and what they look like, how they act, and how Lily interacts with them, and also keep track of the motifs, which are the nature, the religion, race, and as always, the bees.